In the race for the White House, Vice President Harris and Governor Walz are out campaigning ahead of the kickoff of the Democratic National Convention in Chicago. Keynote address tonight from President Biden, who transformed the race when he passed the baton to Harris last month. Rachel Scott is on the scene in Chicago. Good morning, Rachel.
George, good morning to you. And this is hardly the convention that Democrats envisioned months ago. But this morning, more than 50,000 people, 5,000 delegates, and some of the biggest names in the party's politics are descending here on Chicago to rally behind the new candidate in this race, Vice President Kamala Harris. Her challenge this week, laying out her own vision and putting her own stamp on this convention. Overnight, Vice President Kamala Harris touching down in Chicago, kicking off the Democratic National Convention with a narrow lead over Donald Trump.
Through these next 79 days, we will continue to build community, build coalitions, and remind each other we are all in this together.
Harris and her new running mate, Governor Tim Walz, hitting the road on their new campaign bus, barnstorming battleground Pennsylvania. Harris trying to fend off attacks from Trump, who has called her a lunatic and questioned her racial identity.
Real and true measure of the strength of a leader is based on who you lift up. That's what we see as strength. We know what strength looks like. That's what strength looks like. Anybody who's about beating down other people is a coward.
It's a message Harris is hoping to lean into this week. The theme of the convention, for the people, for the future, with speeches expected from Barack and Michelle Obama, as well as Bill and Hillary Clinton. But today, President Biden will give the primetime address, a handoff to his own vice president just weeks after he dropped out of the race. Since then, the dynamics in this race have shifted. Harris gaining momentum.
I very much consider us the underdog. We have a lot of work to do to earn the vote of the American people.
Trump's running mate Ohio Senator J.D. Vance dismissing it all as a honeymoon period.
Kamala Harris got a bit of a sugar high a couple of weeks ago.
Trump has struggled to adjust to the new Democratic ticket. Even some of his closest allies practically begging him to stay on message.
His policies are good for America, and if you have a policy debate for president, he wins. Donald Trump, the provocateur, the showman, may not win this election.
But the former president is having a hard time sticking to the issues, veering into personal insults, this weekend claiming he's a, quote, better-looking person than her.
They said, no, her biggest advantage is that she's a beautiful woman. I'm going, huh. I never thought of that. I'm better looking than she is.
Donald Trump and Senator J.D. Vance will be hitting the campaign trail every single day this week, really trying to counter-program the Democratic National Convention. And back here in Chicago, officials are bracing for large demonstrations, including protests to the Biden administration's response to the Israel-Hamas war. Now, Vice President Kamala Harris has created some distance from President Biden on this issue. Her rhetoric has been very forceful when talking about the rising death toll in Gaza, but there's been no change on policy, Will.
Rachel Scott in Chicago for us. Rachel, thank you.